Welcome to the Editor's Note Comics Podcast.
I think that this world, it needs men that are willing to make the hard call.
Central Maine's best comics podcast, by default.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
Here are your hosts, Zach and Jared.
Maps come with me. No. When do we start?
Welcome back to the show. All right, change of plans for this week, everyone. Jared had something come up. He couldn't be here this week. Everything's fine. He's fine. If he wants to tell you about it next week, he can, but I'm not going to speak for him. So I searched high and low for another co-host, and I found my wife.
I was going to say, did you search high and low in our house? You literally went to the next person you could find, and you were like, Will you talk on the microphone with me?
I mean, you're such a fan of this show.
I have listened to it.
You never listen to it.
Oh my gosh, I listen to it every week. I'm just sitting upstairs.
You fall asleep.
Or I fall asleep during it, or I go do something else during it. But I catch a fair amount of it.
My favorite bits are, we're downstairs, we'll wrap up, and I'll go upstairs, and you go, cool, you have to cut that part. I'll go, yes, probably.
Yes. And then every time I do that, I think I should listen to the show more.
Just to make sure he's doing what I said.
I should listen to the show recording more is what I should say. Just to make sure.
Yeah. Just to double check my content.
Uh-huh.
I usually cut the more colorful bits.
Do you ever leave in the part where Jared asked me what to do?
No, I always cut that. That's annoying because it's a one-sided thing. No one knows about that. Sometimes we're doing a thing and Jared will just scream upstairs. He's like, Emily, is it okay to say this? And then he'll yell back down, but no one can hear it. And it's really weird and one-sided, and I always cut it.
I'm Emily, by the way.
He won't listen to this, so it's fine.
Hi, Jared.
He's not listening. Hey, if you're new to the show, we go through comics, pop culture, movie, TV news, and then we talk about a thing. If you want to jump around to things, there's a time code in the episode description.
You have the weirdest stain on your pants.
Where? Oh, it's probably eggs.
Ew.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry,
Eggs.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm wearing sweatpants. That's how you do podcasts, in sweatpants. But as we do each and every week, I guess we're doing the news.
Woohoo!
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
It's time for the news.
Can you read that?
Yeah, this is just my own handwriting. You know what? I don't even know where to start. There's so much to talk about.
Is there really?
Look at all that. Look at my notes.
Yes.
I mean, don't bother reading them.
I was going to say they're super legible, too.
Decipherable notes. I guess let's do movie news first. Last weekend, of course, the Super Bowl happened. I'm not sure if I can legally say that. The big game happened.
On Sunday night.
Which is annoying when
Atlanta.
When you have to look up Endgame Big Game Trailer, because you can't say the other thing legally. We'll do the opposite. We'll call it a crappy plate. The crappy plate trailer. It's the opposite of super and bowl.
Wow. All right. Anyway.
Crap plate.
Anyway.
Oh, the trailers we had. Captain Marvel had a trailer.
I just watched it.
I'm sure you saw it on the night, too. We weren't together. You left me. And
I didn't see it on the night.
Oh,
I didn't see any trailers on the night of.
Yeah, you flew across the country, left me behind.
I did. And we tended to fast forward through commercials.
Were you watching it after?
No, we were watching it live, but we would like pause it if somebody was saying something, and then you just fast forward through it or whatever. We actually had 2 TVs going.
Weird. Yeah, Captain Marvel had a trailer. It didn't add much to the story. All they said was like, further, faster, higher. That's the name of a one-shot that's coming out if you want to pre-order it at your local comic shop, preferably through me.
Where is your local comic shop?
Hallowell, Maine.
Hallowell.
Sorry, I had an accent for a second.
From where no one knows.
I mean, not a lot to add to it. It still looks pretty good. I still think the stuff with her flying about looks a bit rubbery. Sorry, I'm acting like Jared's here.
Description.
I'm just going to continue conversations you weren't a part of.
Yeah.
I mean, she does. It's something that CG always has to get over is the weight of something. Like, do things have weight behind them or they just look like they're bouncing about? And sometimes things look good, especially where we know. Sometimes they look bad. And I would say the low point of Black Panther was like the 90 seconds that they were bouncing about in suits. It looks super rubbery.
Yeah, no, I totally see what you mean.
The worst example of rubbery, if you go back to Blade 2, like that weird opening scene, that's all rubber. You haven't seen that movie, don't worry about it.
I was going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Is that like the Uncanny Valley? No, that's when...
Yes, that is the Uncanny Valley.
Are you so impressed that I pulled that out of my film history knowledge?
Ah, if I said that sentence, it would have sounded different.
Why?
I would have pulled it out of my ass.
Oh. No, I took film classes, and that's where I found that particular piece
Valley.
Of information.
When you look at a thing in your brain, like, recognize it that it's not quite right.
Yeah, and isn't it like the closer you get to actual reality, the more that your brain freaks out a little bit?
Yeah, to a point. Sometimes you're just like, that's just CG. Overall, I still think it looks really solid. It's coming out very soon, and there might be a hint about some other Captain Marvel stuff in another big game trailer or crap plate trailer. Because Avengers Endgame had a trailer. Also, it came out this week that it's still clocking at over 3 hours after what they've been doing with test audiences.
Oh my.
So don't drink anything before this movie, kids.
I'm bringing a blanket to that. Like, I'm just going to bed down. I just live there now in that seat.
Hey,
That seat is large, though. It's like the size of our house.
It's not.
It's a big seat, though.
Go to that midnight show, get home at like 4 a.m.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I know.
I can't stay awake for that.
Tidbits that came out of that after it looks like it's going to be picking up, let's say, a year later. There's going to be jumping around time a bit, maybe more. We see New York. We see a bunch of boats in the harbor. We see a bunch of cars parked all willy-nilly. Things are abandoned. I mean, we don't see rioting, but I bet there's some rioting and looting.
Just a tad bit.
See Cap in the support group. He's making some emotional faces. The only reason I'm pointing that out is earlier in his run as Captain America, Chris Evans said the downside of doing these Marvel movies is you didn't get to really act. It was all just setting up the shot, saying you have to do this no matter what. But I think he's grown from that in the early days, and I think he's doing some hardcore acting now.
Yeah, Andy has longer hair and a longer beard.
Well, he doesn't have a beard in this one. And those are all wigs. They wig him up every time.
Well, whatever. I don't really care.
I don't know why. It's not like he has long, uncontrollable hair. Why are they wigging him up?
Because they can control that.
Would it just be easier to have him grow his hair for a month?
I don't know.
I always thought that was weird that he's always wearing wigs.
Well, it's not that weird if you don't think about it.
I think there was one movie he wasn't wigged, but yeah, he's usually wigged. He's definitely wigged in this one again.
Can you stop using wig as a verb?
No.
Please.
Never. I like to identify wigs.
I know, that is one of your favorite things to do when we're watching something.
Wig!
But at the same time, I've never heard you use that as a verb so many times in a 30-second span, so...
I've seen some speculation online of spacing in certain shots. We see, I didn't even write, I think it was Captain America, Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and Rhodey looking to the sky, but it's not perfectly framed. There's a little bit of space in between them, and maybe there's a hidden person there. So who knows?
Also, it was a line of people, which was your favorite thing.
No, that was at the end. That was the other one where there might be a person missing.
Again, another line of people, but you love lines of people.
I do love lines of people running at each other.
Yes.
But they're all looking to the sky. Rumor has it that everything we've seen in the trailers so far is all from the first 20 minutes, not to give anything away.
Makes sense.
With that in mind, if I were going to put something into the first 20 minutes, I'm not going to say it's anything coming back. It's not Captain Marvel, and it's not Tony with Nebula. I think if we're dealing with the first 20 minutes, a more realistic one from what the information we know is it's probably going to be Pepper Potts taking off his rescue to go get Tony.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's my guess. I could be wrong. Maybe there's a person there. I also don't think there necessarily is, because that's just not natural. You don't always have yourself perfectly spaced out when you're with people. There doesn't need to be a specific number of inches in between everyone to hit their marks. That's weird and unnatural.
Yes, it is. But also, it could totally fit a person in there and it wouldn't be that weird.
No, it's a Marvel trailer. They cheat. They've been cheating for a while now. Since Age of Ultron, they started doing that.
Wouldn't you cheat too in their shoes?
Yeah, totally.
They have no incentive to not do that.
Ruin people who break it down second by second.
Like you.
Like me. Ruin me.
Oh my gosh. I remember how many times I had to watch that Age of Ultron trailer.
I don't.
Many.
Why?
Because you were like, this is my new theory.
Oh, I didn't even have a podcast then.
Exactly. Exactly. I was your audience.
Audience of one.
Captive, to say the least.
But not interested. The other biggie that I see in there is we see Rocket Raccoon, and I've seen some speculation online where is he? There's lobster traps in the background. What's going on there? The fun thing is he is wearing his original comic costume. You can look it up on the blue uniform with the red trim. It's in shadow, but it is definitely that one. But based on some recent Captain Marvel comics, I'm going to say...
AKA the one in your store?
I do have it for sale.
I'm at the page.
The page is also there. Well, it is. I don't know. But Captain Marvel has recently been revealed to have a Maine-related background.
Harpswell.
Yeah, specifically. And I don't know how much say there was in connection to the movie. I'm sure there was probably some conversation, since this is supposed to be the definitive origin that came out. And, they like to have cross-pollination for some reason. I don't think it really matters. Comics doesn't actually make them any money.
But it's nice.
Toys and movies, but mostly toys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Rocket's in Maine doing something Captain Marvel related.
That sounds fun. Maybe he'll come by the store.
He probably won't, because he's a raccoon.
Maybe Bradley Cooper will come by the store.
I'd prefer that. I'm not a big fan of raccoons.
Did you know he's fluent in French?
No, I didn't.
He studied abroad in Aix-en-Provence, and now he has a place there.
Yeah. No, we've had issue with raccoons in our house, and we don't need any more.
Just the one time.
That's why the trash lives in the garage now.
Well, I know that.
I didn't see you picking it up.
No, because I think I was leaving for school.
You're like, raccoon got into stuff, bye. Why? Damn raccoons. Keep raccoons out of
So
Maine.
fun.
That's probably about that for it.
What was that sentence?
It's probably about that for it.
Okay.
Wasn't a good sentence, but I'll stand by it.
Okay. At least you repeated it exactly.
News about Deadpool came out with the Marvel Fox acquisition, and I'll bring this up in another second. I can't tell what this is going to be. Like, are they just going to fold Fox entirely, or is Fox, as The Simpsons predicted it, just going to be a division of Disney? Because talking about Deadpool, Bob Iger said that they will continue with the R rating. And why not? Deadpool makes money, so definitely keep it going. And if there's a character that you could like cross over, like still being aware that he moved, you could do that with Deadpool and still not upset things too much and still keep Reynolds around, which I think would make a lot of sense.
I've never heard Ryan Reynolds just referred to as Reynolds, and I don't appreciate it.
Riri. Wait, that means
That's
something bad.
Rihanna.
Ray. I don't know.
Ryan Reynolds.
But they just said they would have to market it very specifically so people would know.
Yeah.
Unlike Deadpool's original marketing, which marketed it, like all their billboards and stuff, made it look like it was a romantic comedy.
Oh, I knew better.
And they screwed people into that, which I still think is one of the funnier marketing campaigns.
Oh my gosh, it came out on your birthday, so I didn't even have a good way to get around it.
Did you see the second one in theaters?
No, the first one I saw in theaters.
Yeah, because that came out like right when my birthday was. It's like, ha-ha!
No, the second one, I think just you and Jared went.
Yeah, because we went to that place that serves burgers.
Yeah, you guys had a little date. It was super cute.
Had a burger and a beer. Yeah, Deadpool will continue to be R-rated under Disney. Maybe Fox is folded, maybe it's not, because also in that same vein, The Simpsons has been renewed for seasons 31 and 32.
Wow, they doubled it.
It's not uncommon. I think the last time they did a 3-year commitment, maybe it was only 2, I don't remember. It was a few years back. Boy, those people are rich. All those voice actors, they make serious cash.
I bet.
More money. They make more money in 2 months than we'll see in the rest of our lives.
Thank you for that.
True story.
Depressing.
But that's was making me like, I don't know how this Fox thing is going to work. Like, how can you sign off on a show for 2 years when you're getting bought out? So do you become a division of Disney, or do they just fold you entirely? I don't know.
I really have nothing to add to this conversation.
I guess it'll come out as time goes on.
I think it makes more sense to make it a division.
Yeah.
There, I made a statement.
Fantastic. Other TV news, ABC has passed on an all-female-led Marvel TV show that was in development. I don't think it went all the way to pilot, but they definitely had it. They put some money into it.
Oh. They also said that this is the last season of Modern Family.
Unrelated, but yeah, that's in like season 11 or 12.
11. This is season 11. It's the last one.
You say that you don't watch that show.
I know, but I've seen it a lot recently. People make a big deal of it.
Where?
The BBC.
When? You just watch. It's on the BBC?
I read BBC News.
Okay, you don't watch the show, though.
No.
Name me a Modern Family character.
I know their names. Their character names?
Yes.
Luke.
You could have said anything I don't actually know.
Luke is the son. Phil Dunphy is the dad.
Is that like Ty Burrell or someone?
I don't know what their names are.
Cool. All right, moving on. Yeah, so ABC passed on another Marvel show, which is probably good. I feel like people talk about...
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was terrible.
It's better now.
I don't believe you.
You stopped when it was like awful. You just went, you know what? I've had enough.
Because everybody was dying and things were falling apart.
And it was super boring.
And I didn't have time in my life for it.
But then seasons 4 and 5 happened, which were better, and I wish it had ended. I've stated that many times on the show. But yeah, I think there is a bit of an oversaturation when it comes to Marvel TV shows, especially when we know they have like another 4 to 5 coming on this Disney Plus app.
You look skeptical of that, but you know we're going to get it.
Oh yeah, we're 100% going to get it.
Because I want Disney.
And I want Marvel and Star Wars.
So look how happy we are.
Oh good, thank God, marriage made it work. Other TV news,
when are they going to do a Marvel theme park? Then you'll go down to the world of Orlando with me and go to Harry Potter World, because you can go to the Marvel one.
They're doing that in Dubai with a bunch of DC stuff, like in a big way.
Just wait. Why has this not happened yet?
In Dubai?
No, in Orlando.
I don't know, couldn't tell you.
Anyway, back to what you were saying.
Florida's humid.
Yes, it's trademark.
Florida trademark humidity.
Yes.
It's real warm down there. I don't like it. I have a constant glaze like a ham.
Ew, ew, ew. Ew.
Why the Last Man? Oh boy. By Brian K. Vaughan, and I am blanking on the artist name. Apologies, I didn't write it down. Has a series order at FX for 2020. This has been development hell for like 15 years. It was going to be like a trilogy for a while, and Shia LaBeouf was signed on. I'm glad that didn't happen. And it's been bounced around a bunch through TV stations, but it finally has an official series order. What is Why the Last Man, you ask?
It's the one with the monkey, but you told me I shouldn't read it.
No, you could probably be into that one. The monkey has some trouble, but he eventually dies of old age.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
That's the problem.
Old age?
Yes. I'm not going to read that. Not when the monkey dies.
It's all about that's half apocalypse. All the men in the world die except for this one guy, York, and his monkey ampersand.
Oh.
And they have to navigate the world that's all female-led. Diane Lane's going to be in it as a mom. She's a senator who becomes the president. I'm just mildly spoiling things about this book. I don't care. It came out 20 years ago. Deal with it. I guess it's probably closer to 15, but still. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Highly recommended. I'm not actually spoiling the big stuff. But yeah, series order at FX. I've never watched a show on FX. I have no idea what their quality is like, so I guess let's find out.
Sometimes you watch The Simpsons on FX.
I watch it on FXX.
Oh, is that what it's on?
Extra X. It's basically the Simpsons channel.
Oh, there you go.
That's just because we downloaded it all from YouTube TV. Now I have the entire series. Hey, 10 seasons aren't out on DVD. Helps.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to movie news because, let's just make this all smooth and transition-y. You know what I love?
People in lines.
No, I hate that. I hate crowds.
Superheroes walking in lines to meet another line of superheroes.
Oh, I thought you meant like standing in line. I'm like, no, people.
No,
Off.
I understand you
Screw
don't
lines.
like people. You like fake people walking in lines.
I really like Mad Max.
Huh.
You love that movie.
I liked going to the drive-in to see it.
It's a good time. That's how you had to see that movie. That movie is the
I was
perfect drive-in
far
movie.
more emotional about San Andreas than I was about Mad Max.
That's a terrible movie.
Oh my gosh, it was so awful. And also, I cried.
Like The Rock gave a speech about it.
It was very emotional.
He had a monologue about a dead girl.
His dead daughter.
Fictional daughter.
So?
Terrible movie. This isn't the first time, but Mad Max sequel rumors are spurred up once again. Paramount canned World War Z 2. Fine.
Is there a World War Z 1?
Yeah. It had Brad Pitt and a lot of Pepsi promotional stuff in there.
Oh.
It's like he's trying to figure out how to get away from the zombies, and because they went through so many reshoots, he stops for 2 solid minutes to get a Pepsi and drink it slowly.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Huh.
That's how you pay for reshoots.
Well,
you drink Pepsi in silence for 2 straight minutes.
I think that I'm okay with missing that one.
I think, I thought Goddard did the script for that. Drew Goddard.
I understood who you meant.
Yeah, I think he did the script for the first one. I think he might have done the second one, but there was issues over budget, so they canned it. And now they're talking about maybe getting back into Mad Max sequels, even though George Miller is 73.
I thought he was older, so good for him.
73 and kicking. I mean, still, man, Fury Road is one of my top 10 favorite movies.
Let's not go down the top 10 rabbit hole, shall we?
Let's not. But still, I love that movie. If you want to give me more of that world, the original Mad Max movies are fine. The first one's impressive just based on the budget. The second one's legitimately good. Third one wasn't even supposed to be a Mad Max movie. They just shoehorned him in, and it's weird, and there's a whole Tina Turner thing. It's a non-movie. But man, Fury Road, that's a movie. There's a cinematic wonder for the eyes in every other sense.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really like it. They drove in a straight line and then turned around and drove back.
They did. That was the whole plot.
Uh-huh.
But it was about the patriarchy.
Yep.
And kicking it in the dick.
Okay. You're a little more salty on this show.
Than our other one.
Yes.
Other movie news. The Invisible Man. I guess Universal is trying to do their horror cycle again. It's going to be produced by Blumhouse, who's a low-budget horror company.
You love Universal horror.
I love Universal horror. And The Invisible Man's a great movie, directed by James Whale, starring Claude Rains.
Sorry, what's the genre there?
Horror. Horror.
Horror.
It's horror.
If you didn't understand that, it's horror.
I'm an angry pirate. But I just don't know if that movie works in 2018.
Is it a book?
Yeah, H.G. Wells.
Have you ever read it?
No, I never have.
Oh.
But even the one that James Whale did, it was a comedy. It wasn't really a horror movie.
No.
They have that.
I remember watching it.
Yeah, you've seen that one. But they have a woman just screaming incessantly. I love the cop in it who it's great effects for the time. It really looks amazing. It's a great movie, good performances. But do you remember the cop who's my favorite bit of it? Who's just very matter of fact.
Yeah.
Big old mustache and everyone's freaking out. He just goes, "Oh, he's invisible. That's what he is." I can't do it nearly as well as him, but he's just so dry, just states things so matter of factly. Not fazed by it at all. It's a really good, comedic movie. Not really scary, great for effects, but I don't know if that really works in 2018. If you wanted to update it to the modern day, you could be like, oh man, we're all being surveilled all the time, but if you're invisible, do what you want. There was Hollow Man. I think that was in 99 with Kevin Bacon. That movie was real crap.
I just was thinking about Footloose.
Not
It's
Hollow
my one
Man.
association with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, not Hollow Man. I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of universal horror, look, I try and generally be positive on this show.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it's more fun to be passionate about things than to just bitch at them.
Yeah.
But this one, oh God. CBS has ordered a show about the Frankenstein monster, but he's a detective.
The monster is?
Who is this for?
I don't know, but that sounds kind of fun.
No! He's a cop that gets killed and then he's reanimated and has to solve crimes. Maybe they're about his murder. That's just RoboCop, but worse.
I don't know. I didn't watch RoboCop.
RoboCop's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
I know you don't. You wouldn't like that movie.
Nah.
That's a lot of... They go over the top with their violence. You wouldn't like it.
Well, to start out, they're calling it Frankenstein's monster, not Frankenstein.
Yeah,
so
because Victor Frankenstein is in the show, and oh man, but this sounds terrible. Like, what's the audience? I love Universal Horror, and I think this is the worst. Is this just marketed towards all the old people that watch CBS because they don't know how to work an app? That's why all those shows on CBS last forever, because they have the oldest audience.
Really? How do you know that?
I don't know.
Where did you get your information from?
Just read things.
Doesn't Jared fact check the show?
No, please don't. It's really annoying, and it needs
It's
up
kind
a
of
lot
hard
of
to say
time.
fact check.
But man, this sounds awful. But it's on CBS, so it will last forever because they never cancel anything. Speaking of CBS, though, now that I've badmouthed them, oh, they got my money.
They always did.
You didn't know that.
CBS All Access.
Yeah,
At some point, you were going to get it.
because of that Picard show.
Exactly. Except sooner.
Because, I mean, we already knew it was coming, and it was a surprise. I don't think anyone knew this trailer was coming. The Twilight Zone had its first teaser, and looks so good. I mean, I know it's just Jordan Peele walking about, but, I mean...
Is he the narrator for it?
Yeah, he's going to be presenting it, and I think he's going to have a producer role in it as well. And given his work doing...
Get Out.
Yes, Get Out, and his upcoming movie that looks
Up.
really great.
No, Us.
Yes. I mean,
Up is the sad Disney movie.
and just... I know he's so comedically hilarious. I love Key and Peele. It's such a great show.
I watched one of those one time.
One whole episode or one whole clip?
One whole clip. You put it in front of me.
What was it?
The pizza
Oh, yeah.
and Chinese food skit.
Yeah, when he's talking about his girlfriends and they're all just the action figures.
Yes.
That's so good. I think that's my favorite one.
Okay, well, there you go. Just brought you joy.
But I mean, I like him a lot, and I love The Twilight Zone. I never really saw the second series, and the movie's depressing with that whole, kids getting decapitated by a helicopter thing.
Wow.
It's true.
I don't feel like this is my show.
Oh, no, that happened in real life.
Oh.
People died on set.
Oh. Yeah, it's better that I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the movie's I've never watched the movie just because the context is a bit dark.
A bit?
Yeah, 3 people died. 2 of them were kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what we're calling a bit dark?
Yeah.
I don't know what your scale is.
Burgess Meredith narrated it, though.
Your scale is not good.
So that's a positive.
Bad scale.
Man, CBS, they got my money. Between, the 17 Star Trek shows they're going to be doing, the Picard one's the one that's the moneymaker, though. And now this, they got my money.
I know.
You're sad about that.
I'm very sad.
Streaming services.
Dear
Damn it.
Patreon members,
Yeah, please sign up
please sign up for Patreon.
so I can watch The Twilight Zone
I'm a teacher,
and Picard. And I run a comic book store.
so please sign up.
What else is happening in the world? Boy, there's a lot of news this week.
Is there really?
I'm almost done, but there's been a lot.
I feel like there's not that much that happened.
Well, I've been talking about it for 20-something minutes.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's been a while since we've done this segment, but I guess we'll just be gabbing about Bendis.
What is Bendis up to now?
We're gabbing about Bendis. It's this week's news about Brian Michael Bendis.
Bendis.
Who's that?
Brian Michael Bendis. He's a comic writer. He was in the news for a long time. It became like a weekly thing
Uh-huh.
when he switched over from Marvel to DC, and then we got a theme for it.
Oh,
It played.
wait, did he have something to do with Spider-Man?
Yeah, he co-created Miles Morales.
Oh, because he's in that movie. I saw that movie. That was a good one.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome.
This continues with my confusion about the Fox Disney acquisition. I really should have clumped these stories together.
This is somewhat scattered. Keeps everybody on their toes.
He is still working on movie 143, which is a Kitty Pryde solo movie, despite things getting shut down, things getting continued. I don't know, but he says it's still happening, so cool.
Who's Kitty Pryde in this?
Ellen Page.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, and it'd be nice if she got to work with a director that wasn't Brett Ratner or Bryan Singer.
Do you remember Juno? It's a great movie.
Yeah, that was Jason Reitman did that. Ivan Reitman said he's doing the next Ghostbusters.
Oh.
We're going to see one of his movies whenever it comes out. He did a Hugh Jackman movie that I'll Redbox.
Because you love Hugh Jackman.
That just looked interesting, but also that.
I was going to say, are we going to try to lie about that?
They did a movie called The Front Runner, which I want to see, and you'll probably dig that one.
What would happen if there was a movie with Hugh Jackman and John Hamm?
We would just sell our house and see it a lot of times.
Wow. Sounds awful.
What was I talking? Oh, yeah, movie 143. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if Ellen Page comes back, I mean, she's really got the short end of the stick with working with sexual predators.
Not great.
Yeah, and she's talked about Brett Ratner publicly, but who knows? I mean, Bryan Singer allegedly, really allegedly, alleged a lot. So she's great. She has a great character, but boy, the directors she's had to work with. Give her a movie with, someone halfway decent, not a sexual predator.
Mm-hmm.
What a low bar. Hopefully a bar that's easy to get over.
Yes.
If this movie happens at all. I kind of doubt it will, but I guess they're still working on it. Little bit of comic book news. It was mostly movies and TV this week, sorry. Rob Liefeld is working on what he says will be his final Deadpool story. He is the co-creator with Louis Simonson. It's unclear who did what. They both have different stories, but he is writing a Deadpool miniseries called Batter Blood, saying it will be his final word on the character.
It's kind of sad.
No, it's not.
It's the end of an era.
He's made plenty of money. He's fine.
Well, yeah, but still.
He got 90s rich off of comics. And I was doing a couple of things for Marvel, but, well, yeah, with, what was it, Major X and now this. But yeah, that's the thing that's happening. And last bit of comics news, Scott Snyder has hinted that he isn't ruling out a Dark Knight Metal sequel. The only reason that this is significant is he said that he's doing a Batman story right now with Greg Capullo. This is going to be his final Batman story, but Dark Knight's Metal incorporates mostly the Justice League, so that doesn't count against his word, even though it's Batman-centric.
Okay.
We'll see. Not announced, but he just said he isn't ruling it out. Metal is weird and crazy. It's a lot of fun, but still just like off-the-walls bananas.
I organized it one time when I worked at the bookstore.
Not my store.
Not your store.
Thanks. All right, that's it for the news. Did you bring any pop culture news to the table? I guess you did. You brought Modern Family.
Yeah, so I did bring pop culture news. Do you want me to come up with something else?
No, not really. We can move on. That was a long news segment.
That was a long news segment. What other fun tidbits have I found out about news recently? Oh, there was that guy who killed a mountain lion when he was running.
It's not pop culture, but yeah, that man choked out a lion.
That is
killed it.
Fascinating. You were so fascinated you had to go find it.
I did. I looked it up. His arm isn't going to look very good.
No.
What with the mountain lion latching onto it while he choked it to death?
Yeah. But anyway, those are really my only two pieces of news that I've retained.
Cool. Normally I'd skip this because Jared's not here, but it was the Super Bowl, so I guess we have to do a Jared Sports Reports.
Hi,
Jared.
Oh.
He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. Bare-chested. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
It's time for another Jared Sports Report.
Sunday, oh man, there was a hell of a game. It was a real back and forth, really went down to the wire. The last 7 seconds were just high intensity. Of course, this is the Celtics versus OKC.
I already know the punchline of this, so.
That was an awesome game. Then the Super Bowl happened. That sucked.
It was a defensive battle.
And we're in New England. Boy, that was boring.
It was a defensive battle, and we're very glad that the Patriots won.
Because the offense couldn't do anything. Oh, God, it's so boring.
We're glad that the Patriots won. I ate a lot of great food. I didn't even tell you about the food, but you would have been really jealous because there were a lot of things that were wrapped in pastry.
Ooh.
Yes, and there was little mini burgers and little mini brisket burgers. You would have really enjoyed the food.
I mean, I was watching it with Jared and some other people, and there was one point when they went, yeah, coming to us from the Bud Light Skycam, and he went, woo! I was like, really? Are you cheering a camera? He's like, yeah, I am.
I felt bad for the announcers because they tried so hard
to
keep
put a silver lining on crap.
Yeah, to keep it upbeat and keep everyone's attention. And
my God, I can't remember a more boring football game. I'm sure they exist.
Anyway.
But that's the most boring thing I've seen in a long while.
On the upside, I think it was a surprise to most people.
And I saw Venom.
That's not a football game.
It's still really boring.
Still not a football game.
I guess that's it. Just wanted to speak on it. You're more of a football fan than I am.
Yay, Patriots. We're glad that the Patriots won.
They're not even your team.
They're my AFC team.
Okay.
They're not my real team. My real team is going to make a great comeback this year.
They didn't do too good.
Well, Aaron's going to do great. And he doesn't have to have surgery on his knee. So that's good too.
Helpful.
My mom was very happy.
There. That was a quick segment. Just wanted to say it was awful. And the Celtics were a lot of fun.
Anyway, moving on. What's up next?
I mean, we can talk about the trade deadline that's coming up Actually, I guess by the time this is all
You already
edited,
said segment done. Segment is done.
what will happen with Anthony Davis?
I don't know.
Poor John Wall and his exploded Achilles.
Oh.
Yeah, that happened in his house too. Not even was playing. I mean, the Washington Wizards are
That's
a
disgusting.
crap team, but now they lost him for 12 months.
Moving on. That is
right.
disgusting.
Sorry, exploded.
What?
From there, because we are husband and or wife, thought it'd be appropriate to talk about a comic that involves a marriage.
I'm really glad that you made that as awkward as you could.
Yeah, I did.
Well done.
From there, we move on to do a comic book thing about a comic book series that has a marriage. We're doing the Vision from 2015, 16, that area.
2016.
2016.
You were very
it is.
excited about it.
All right.
Back in the day.
There we go. We're playing a theme.
It's Jared's Reading Corner.
What's the theme?
You don't listen to the show, so I guess you've never heard it.
Well, I hear the unedited versions of you guys.
Oh, I guess the comics one we have is Jared's Reading Corner.
Hi, Jared.
In my specific request, this is my favorite theme. When I requested it, I said I wanted it to sound like a crappy reading rainbow, and it sounds like a crappy reading rainbow. It's fantastic. It's my favorite one.
Hi, sound guy.
I don't know why I threw my notes down, because I have a bunch of notes.
Aggressively.
Get out of here. But The Vision, coming out in 2016, is written by Tom King, with art by Gabriel Walta and Michael Wash on one issue, with colors by Jordi Belair.
Okay.
That last name might sound familiar to you because we're doing a whole podcast about her stuff now. Not just a colorist, but current Buffy writer.
Oh.
Issue 2, Patreon exclusive review, out on the 27th of this month when the issue drops.
Oh, you told me it dropped this week, and I'm glad.
No, I got the PDF, but it doesn't drop till the 27th.
Oh, okay,
so we
cool.
got some time.
Cool.
Side note, it's pretty good. It's not very action heavy. It's mostly a Xander issue. Old characters are introduced, and maybe they have some secrets.
Honestly, the fact that you just said that Xander heavy issue is pretty good means that it's exceptionally good because you don't really love Xander.
The actor follows me on Twitter. Let it be. Yeah, it's a solid issue. We'll talk about it more on Patreon. $1 a month. Patreon.com/editorsnotecomics. Non-spoiler and spoiler reviews.
Hi.
A very quick summary without giving away the entire story. The premise of the Vision is the Vision decides that he wants to try and have a normal life, so he creates a wife and 2 kids that look pretty much like him.
They're twins.
They are. And they go live in Virginia right outside of D.C. through a series of unfortunate events that involve the occasional murder, or actually quite a few murders.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of death in this.
They struggle with the idea of having a normal life, what it means to be normal, and what it means to be human, although there are other themes. And we're going to talk about it broadly and probably treat it a little more, for lack of a better term, academically than I normally do with Jared. But I mean, if you wanted
I love
to...
academics.
It's a 12-issue run. It was meant to be a 12-issue run, but you could really dive into every single issue and talk about theme and the importance of certain phrases and really dive deep into this.
Yeah, it's very cleverly constructed and very carefully constructed.
In broad strokes, I think my favorite bit about the writing is I really like the pacing of it. It walks a very fine line within comics. I mean, sometimes with modern books, there's a tendency to keep things very concise, and it's a little bit underwritten, and you can get through a 22-page book in 3-4 minutes. Or sometimes it's too verbose, and then you just end up skimming it because there's just, too much going on. But this walks a very excellent line of making sure that you read everything and keeping the pacing really at the same... I wish I had a different word than pace, but pace for every single issue that works really well, that really draws you in and makes it a very intentional book.
It is a very intentional book. I really appreciate, this is a very small thing, but I appreciate that in this book, they don't bold words that they think should be emphasized for me in the speech bubbles.
Does that bug you?
It drives me up a wall.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. I am an intelligent enough human being that I can figure out what is important in that one sentence that I'm reading. I don't need keywords bolded for me.
I just think it's funny when words are weirdly bolded.
Oh my gosh, it
why
drives
is that
me
the emphasis?
up a wall. And I didn't realize until right now that they don't do it because it was just so much easier for my brain to process. Anyway, so thanks, Vision people.
I think where the art excels is in the faces, because we're dealing with the Vision, we're dealing with robots who are supposedly, mostly emotionless, even though they have deep running emotions and blah, 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 blah. Like the thing you usually see with things like that. But for the most part, you're getting a very similar face and everything, and it looks very inhuman. But I love the subtlety in the art where just making the eyes a little bit different conveys just so much. Like you can see when they're just totally faking it or something behind it, and it's incredibly layered and detailed and so incredibly thought out. I love the art, especially on the faces.
You know, just to round it out, I really liked how it was written. I liked how it was laid out. It's laid out with a lot of foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's very intentional.
Yeah, and it's very interestingly framed. You have this narrator who's looking back on the whole thing, telling you if somebody had done something different, would it have changed everything?
Yeah, and
I just find that so fascinating.
It's not a character narrating; it's just narrator.
Yeah,
because sometimes you'll get like internal monologue or something, but this is straight like omniscient narrator.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I always like a good omniscient narrator, but I really appreciated that there's a level of secrecy there, but there's not a lot of big jump reveals like, oh man.
There's a couple,
but
a lot of the deaths.
Yes, but coming
or stabbings.
From most of the things I read are Buffy, and Buffy, because it has such a different tone and such a different everything, the jump reveals, or whatever you want to call them, surprise reveals, they feel a lot more natural in that.
Page turns.
Yeah. Whereas I'm really glad they used only a couple, and they're
jarring.
They're jarring, but they're meant to be jarring. It's not.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Like jarring, like ah.
Yeah. It's anyway. I really enjoyed how it was written.
Also, and we don't do a great job about this when I say that. We have a different podcast. Not sure if you picked up on that yet.
We do the Buffy one.
Yeah.
You can listen to us too.
Patreon.com/editorsnotecomics. $1 a month.
Or also
spoiler reviews.
A lot of other ones that we've done that
just
are
on your iTunes feed.
Totally free. So feel free to listen to all of those too.
But what's funny is I know that I mentioned like, oh, this person that we're doing a whole other podcast about, but the colors in this, I love the color palette.
Oh, it's beautiful. And it changes.
It's incredibly specific and like falls within this definite range. And we're not artists. I don't know how to speak of it, but it's so incredibly specific. And I love this combination of artist and colorist. Like usually it's fine. Like usually you'll go through a book and, it looks good. But it's so incredibly specific and like, they're married so well together. I love it.
Interesting choice of verbiage.
I don't know.
No, it's just
you
funny.
pick one.
No, it was totally fine. But yeah, no, there's so much care that is put into every piece of this book, which I really appreciate. Not that every comic that I've read didn't also have a lot of people that cared about it, but this one is clearly somebody's baby.
Yeah, the writer Tom King, I'm generally a fan of the stuff that he's done. I think this is probably the one that put him on the map in the biggest way, like early in his career. Maybe that's probably not even true. I don't remember the exact order of when things came out, whether like Sheriff of Babylon or Omega Men or something was before this, but this I think probably elevated him a bit.
Yeah, I have no idea.
In the world, yeah, I might be wrong.
I knew his name from you before this.
Because I read that novel of his. Remember when we were at the beach?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Beach Day.
Beach Day. We have like one every 2 years.
It's like one a year. Easy does it.
Okay, cool. Anyway,
before we kind of get into other stuff, like there's a lot of things of his that carry over. Like these people are located right outside of DC, just based on his Twitter account. That's where he lives. There's a character who served post 9/11, and which is also stuff that he did. You see a lot of the author inserting himself into the text, at least marginally. Also married.
Not like Stephen King level of inserting yourself into the text.
No, not like Dark Tower, where he's just like, Stephen King here. Oh man, I got hit by a van.
Oh, not great though.
It happened. I think it was the 6th book.
Yeah, it also happened like in 1999 or something.
Yeah, but then he made it so the reason he didn't die is because one of the Dark Tower characters pushed him out of the way.
Oh, nice.
Then they die.
Ooh.
I didn't tell you which one.
Well, whatever. We'll get there.
Will you? You've read 2 of those books in like 4 years.
Well, I made it through the second one pretty quick.
It's a good book. But you do get the author inserting himself into it a bit, which you've seen with some of his stuff, like Sheriff of Babylon, which I mentioned is very heavily semi-autobiographical. I don't know how much. And there are some tropes of his that enter in here that you'll see in future works, which, I mean, this wasn't that long ago, so future works meaning, like, the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think he's very heavily influenced by Watchmen. There's a tendency to repeat phrases in different spots, changing their meaning, which comes straight out of Watchmen.
I noticed
other people have done that before. It's not like Watchmen invented it.
No, but I also noticed some of the page layouts were, because Watchmen is all the... Is it Watchmen, the 9-panel layouts? And not all of them clearly in this, but every once in a while I'd hit on a 9-panel page layout.
And he's made
it felt very Watchmen-esque.
And that's become a staple of his work.
The 9-panel thing?
Oh yeah, the 9-panel grids are his thing.
Look at me for catching on.
I know, right? He did another book around marriage that's out next week in trade. Mr. Miracle, pick it up.
I really wish that other people could see you point to things like that.
Or I pointed and then gave a double thumbs up, and no one can see that. It's also pointless because I'm literally pointing at the cat. Like, hey, cat.
Before you
Mr.
were
Miracle.
Before you were pointing out the little side door of our basement, you were like, out next week. Not in the unfinished part of our basement, though.
Yeah, that's going to be out in trade next week. I'll be honest, I didn't order that many of them because I assume it's going to get a hardcover.
So there you go.
It used to be the opposite way. It used to be there was always a hardcover no matter like how crappy and little the book was, and then you'd get a paperback 6 months down the road. But now there's almost the opposite of like we're going to have a trial period with paperback, and if it sells well enough, then we'll
it makes sense.
give it a hardcover. This one's going to do it though. I don't know what the point is. The Vision was the same thing. The Vision got 2 trades, and then they did this nice oversized hardcover.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
don't really know what to tell you.
I didn't really go nuts with my Mr. Miracle ordering because I know they're just going to put it out in hardcover.
That was a cool shirt. Did you ever sell that shirt?
I don't know. I mean, I have a few Mr. Miracle shirts.
You had a cool Mr. Miracle shirt.
I mean, it's either Mitch Gerons, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, or Jack Kirby. Either way, they're both awesome shirts. Or I've had more than those, but yeah.
Anyway, back to the Vision.
But yeah, so you do have the 9-panel grid thing, which he says he got from Watchmen, but the Watchmen artist Dave Gibbons said that he got it from Steve Ditko from early 60s stuff. But to be fair to that point, yeah, Ditko was doing it, but he certainly wasn't the first. I mean, Kirby did that a lot early on. He got out on the 9-panel grid, and I didn't really like Kirby's work in a 9-panel grid. But I mean, he says he got it from Ditko, but Ditko certainly wasn't the only one.
Okay, cool.
And I those are mostly the 60s guys that I look at, so I really can't speak outside of that.
Me neither. Exactly for that reason.
Yeah, so aside from just repeating phrases, when you're using a 9-panel grid, you can do a lot of mirroring. There are a lot of mirror image of like changing, literally identical down the line.
Right.
And there's a certain craft behind it, and it works really well.
Yes, they use it sparingly enough in this that
it doesn't become sparing like Mr. Miracle's like 9-panel grids for 12 issues.
Okay, in the Vision, it's used fairly sparingly, or rather, it's used often enough that I noticed that it was a theme, but not used so much that I was like, cool, guys. Do we just like make a lot of these 9-panel grids and thought we had to fill them?
I wouldn't say that it gets to that, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think this is the start of that motif within his writing. And it's gone with, different artists have done it in different ways. Let's talk themes of this book. What do you think some of them were? You're smarter than me.
Themes of this book. I mean, I can start like naming things like family.
Well, I think more specifically,
devotion,
sacrifice around family.
Yeah, I mean, that comes up a ton about.
And this is
parent
a
sacrifice.
Very heightened reality of what sacrifice for family is, but trying to create a sense of normalcy
or sacrificing your own happiness or well-being for the happiness or well-being of somebody else, whoever and whatever that may be.
I think there's something around this of people strive for normalcy and like kind of the nuclear family thing, but it's not obtainable. And this whole like theme running through it is like, are you normal? What is normal? And there's a lot of Merchant of Venice in here.
Yeah.
What I like about using the Merchant of Venice in this is usually, and they do use this in this as well, is you usually just get the whole like, if you prick me, do I not bleed? But this actually dives deeper into the story than just that, which is the cliche one that everyone uses. So I like that there was actually a little bit more Shakespeare worked in there.
Oh, me totally. Me totally. Me too. I also enjoyed that we didn't get the same. We get Merchant of Venice quite a bit in there, but it's different pieces of Merchant of Venice. It's not just, look, guys, I found a cool soliloquy that I really liked, and I just stuck it in many places, the same one. Are you getting that this is a theme? And instead it's, I like books that expect you to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And they don't keep mentioning that it's the Merchant of Venice. I don't even know if they mention it the first time, but or maybe they mention it once and then just expect you to understand that whenever we're talking about Shakespeare, we're still on that same play.
So this book just asserts that everything that people do is just, I'm sorry, you made a face for that
sad.
book. That everything that people do is just entirely meaningless and pointless.
And yet they still do it.
But yeah, and everything still has like, beside it being pointless, it still has like this great meaning behind it.
And that's the paradox of being human.
Yeah, I really love it, and it comes up multiple times. I mean, there's some great lines like, to assert as truth, that which has no meaning is the core mission of humanity.
Going back to...
Harsh.
It is harsh. But that just made me think of...
Or like, what does any of this mean and stuff like that.
I really liked the way that the Vision and his family all speak. It's very stilted.
It's
robotic.
Yeah, it's Star Trek. It's just data.
But I don't know. I really bonded with it. And spoiler, we get another semi-robot character.
Victor Mancha from the Runaways themselves.
Who has a very different speech pattern.
Well, he thought he was human.
Yes.
For his entire life before he found out he was Ultron's baby.
Yes. Weird that you said baby and not son.
Ultron baby.
But you made it weirder than it needed to be.
I always do.
You always do. But they say some very profound and touching things in this very robotic manner.
Some of it's super dark.
Some of it's super dark, too.
You ever thought that row, row, row your boat could be meaningful? Well, strap in, because it is.
Yeah.
I think that was the most surprising one for me.
That one was?
It's very haunting.
The haunting part for me is different.
Yeah, okay, so I'll throw that out there.
But I will talk about that. Do we do spoilers in this?
I wasn't going to spoil the whole thing, but we can spoil that bit.
Okay, so I am somebody who would happily make and wear a t-shirt that says, "Life is too short to read a book where the dog dies." Okay.
The dog dies twice in this.
So much so that you have found me a website called doesthedogdie.com. My mom still reads the ends of books that have dogs in them to make sure that the dog doesn't die. Because I'm going to cry, and I don't really care to do that in my free time.
So because I knew about this, I literally went through and had to edit this book with Post-it notes.
It was helpful. Also, you did that with a cat, which was good too.
Oh yeah, Agatha Harkness stabs a cat through the head.
Yes.
So I covered that up too.
Just
also,
out of good measure.
More Post-it notes than I thought I'd need.
There were a lot of Post-it notes. Anyway.
You know what's also crazy about this is I have a page for this in the store that's hanging up. And when I went to go actually finally get around to it, which wasn't that long after this book came out, there were literally 2 pages left, which means that people out there bought the dead dog pages.
Oh no.
Those are hanging up in people's homes.
I hope not.
Dead dogs.
Anyway, so that was disturbing to me, but you kept telling me it's okay because the dog lives in the end. It keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read this, and there's a dog, and the dog dies.
Twice.
And I'm horrified. Nope, just the first time. Because, you know what? It's not the Vision's dog. It's the Vision's neighbor's dog. Okay.
They kill it, take its brain, and make a robot body around it.
They do all of those things. And then you know what? The neighbor comes looking for his dog, as one would. And do you know what they do? They say, "We don't know what happened to your dog. This is our green robot dog." You stole somebody's dog, killed it, made your own dog out of it. That's not okay. That's horrifying to me.
Yeah, it's true. That's like the first thing you said to me after
That is literally horrifying. It's one thing if the dog dies and it's their dog and they bring it back to life, and I can understand all of those things, and I was totally willing to forgive that, but they killed somebody else's dog and then lied to him about it.
You also laughed at the one poop joke.
I said it sounded like you. It was Spider-Man's one line in the whole book. Did you just say that because you wanted me to stop yelling about the dead dog?
I don't know, just throwing it out there.
In any case, I do not approve of anything that happens with the animals in this, so.
Yeah, it's true. That is a sticking point for you. But I wanted to get a book about the marriage. What'd you think about the marriage?
Yeah, I mean, like, super depressing.
I thought the most messed up part is we get a flashback issue where the Vision is dealing with the Scarlet Witch. Very famously, like, off the top of my head, the only relationship of his I can think of. He does a thing where he's talking to her and tells a joke and she reacts one way. And then he tries to recreate the same situation with his wife and gets a different result. I'm like, that is messed up. Like, trying to repeat that moment for himself.
Oh, see, that is not what I thought you were going to say about that part. But that was also... I was just heartbroken over the whole thing. So I'm sure that you know a lot more of the backstory of all of this than I do.
I don't know what do you mean?
About...
Just comics?
Yeah, in general. But about what happened to the Vision and Scarlet Witch and why they broke up. And in this, he wipes her memory. And I don't know if that's something that's been established before or if that just showed up, and maybe you don't know either, but...
I'd have to go back and read House of M. I think that's where that comes. It's been a while.
But like...
I haven't read that in a long while.
Their children weren't real, and he has to wipe her memory, and... He keeps the memories, and that to me was the...
She went crazy and got rid of all the mutants and brought Hawkeye back just to kill him immediately. It was like, I haven't read House of M in many years.
But...
That was the end of it. That wasn't even the beginning or anything.
Oh, man. But I thought that's where you're going to go with that particular issue, because that to me is so heartbreaking, and so... He has to live through this, and then he has to live through the Scarlet Witch having a new husband and a new family.
It was just a boyfriend. It was just Wonder Man.
Oh, sorry. Having a new relationship and just this heartbreak that he's been through, and then he makes his own family, and he can't quite get the human element in there.
A lot of his family freaks out through this. He does cry once at the end. There's one panel of him with tears.
Did he watch Christopher Robin?
He might have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't really let anyone go in this.
No.
That's also something weird about this, is by the end of it, the Vision has learned nothing without spoiling the end. Like, he goes through this whole thing.
That's a great point.
And other characters have arcs and learn things. The Vision doesn't learn a damn thing. Not really.
No, and in a weird way, he did kind of create this whole problem.
I mean, he goes through a range of emotions, but I'm going to say, like, if repeated with the same circumstances, with the knowledge that he has, would he do anything differently? Probably not.
But isn't that the idea of the whole book, is that being
People are
human is
idiots.
kind of futile and you still do it anyway?
Yeah. Everything else that I wrote down.
Anyway, in general, if you can get past the dog situation, it's really interesting. It is very dark. Let's not
I think there's some interesting
skip
stuff
that,
about
but-
lying. Like, when do you lie for your family? When do you lie to your family? What point do they have? Will it make things better? Will it not? There's a very interesting aspect of lying. There's also a brief bit about religion that I thought was interesting, that I thought maybe I could have dived into a little bit more, because it's only maybe 3 pages.
Yeah. And also the idea of when is lying selfish and when is lying a sacrifice?
Yeah.
And how do those lines get blurred?
You can look at this issue by issue or as the whole. Overall, I think this is a really special book.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've been talking to me about this for quite a while.
Yeah, and I just, my original plan for this week was to do a cartoon from the 60s with Jared, just be like, isn't that a silly cartoon? But this seemed more appropriate to do with you.
I mean, you gave me Reborn to read.
Yeah,
or whatever. Is it called Reborn?
Yeah.
You gave me Reborn to read last summer.
Coming out on Netflix sometime soon. Buy the trade in the store now.
And this, to me, it's darker, but it has a similar interesting vibe to it, where you're taking an idea, a theme like sacrifice that has been dealt with many, many times in many other superhero comics, but in a much more human way, ironically, with robots. I guess that's kind of the whole point. But what does it actually mean? They keep bringing up the fact that the Vision has saved the world 37 times.
I was curious if that's true or not. I mean, he lists the times that he did it, but I'm
I'm
very
sure
curious
other
to
people have
match
looked
it up.
back and matched it up if you wanted to look it up. But
That's also a number that I have trouble getting over a hump with just because of Clerks, but neither here nor there.
okay, I don't know. But they keep mentioning that, and that what does it mean to save the world, and that a couple other characters, they bring that up in context of saving the world, and what does that look like, and how does that happen, and
how do your past actions affect your past accomplishments affect your current choices, and does it paint them in a different light, or you just if you're doing a crap thing, doesn't it just count as a crap thing?
Well, and all the narration is looking back and analyzing these characters' actions, which is also fascinating because they take these single moments that are very dramatic and then they play out many issues later, and you see how you got to that point that was so shocking and how it wasn't that shocking to begin with, and it spiraled. And I don't know, it's a very interesting book. I would definitely recommend it. Please be aware of the amount of dog violence.
No, the writer likes dogs. He posts a picture of his dog every day.
Okay. Please be aware of the amount of dog violence.
There's a dog looking at me right now.
I know.
He's just giving me a face. He's getting a belly rub, though.
He's belly up.
He's just looking at me. He's like, rub my belly. Do it more. Belly.
Poor skin looks all broken out.
Where? Oh, yeah, it does a little bit. He'll be fine. All right, I guess that's the Vision. Different kind of conversation than I usually have.
But it's interesting.
Hey, if you like this one, patreon.com/EditorsNoComics. Exclusive reviews.
Of not the Vision.
Buffy and Firefly. All right, I guess we're moving on from there to letters to the editors. Oh, look at his big smiley face.
Do I have a letter?
Hang on. Theme has to play.
Is it, here's the mail, it never fails, it makes me want to wag my tail, when it comes I want to wail, mail.
What the hell is that?
Mail's here.
That didn't answer my question at all.
It's from Blue's Clues, obviously.
It's way after my time.
I can't help that. It's still from Blue's Clues.
Okay, great. Oh, should be after yours, too.
I can't help that. It's still from Blue's Clues.
All right, I'm going to play a theme now.
Lot of questions, number one. Damn few answers.
Here's another one of your letters to the editors.
Make it so.
All right, I'm cheating this week. I don't have a fan letter. I shouldn't call anyone a fan. I don't have a
Who's the letter from, then?
Me.
Oh, man.
To you.
Oh, gosh.
What?
What's the letter? What's my question?
Well,
Every day I ask my kids a question of the day. Today it was, what's your favorite winter carnival activity?
Well, the key words that I wrote down for myself to remind it was lady things.
I don't like this question already.
The question I often see posed, and it has been brought up, and you'll be speaking purely in generalizations here, speaking for 50% of the world. Wow, just got a big eye roll.
Okay,
because
continue.
everyone's the same. people often get questions of how do I, get my girlfriend or significant other or female friends into comic books, because it is a primarily male-dominated medium. Creatively, there's certainly female creators out there. It's still definitely mostly male. And I can say for me personally, as, a shop owner, I'm probably about 80-20 with customers.
Okay.
So what would you say is a good gateway to get females into reading comic books?
I was going to say, I read a lot. Not comic books necessarily,
you do
but
read a lot.
I read a lot. I think the first thing, like any other recommendation for any other medium, is you want to recommend specifically for your audience. So, for example, if you know that your girlfriend at the time really doesn't do well with animal death, perhaps don't give her the book where every animal dies.
That was that Brian K. Vaughan.
It's something where the lions all died. It was like the Lions of Baghdad or something.
Oh, yeah.
They all died. Every animal. Yeah. Don't read that.
It's like, you like animals, read this.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Bad call. Don't do that.
Bad call. I mean, just like anything else, you want to make sure that you know what your audience is looking for. Are they looking for a more self-contained story, something that would be more like a graphic novel? Do they want something that is that huge overarching saga, like Saga?
Well, that's a generalization for me, where it's certainly not 100%, because, like I said, you don't want to generalize half the world.
Or all the world.
But I usually find with, certainly not all, because it's, like I said, it's not everything, but I find a lot of female readers at the store are more interested in waiting for the trade than getting individual floppies.
I mean, that's
not 100% true, because I have female customers that do that, but I certainly have noticed a correlation between wanting to just get the whole thing versus...
Yeah.
Again, not down the line, but I would say the majority of my customers, which also might be different in other places. I'm just saying my personal
I think, too, it's important. It doesn't matter who you're trying to get into comics, but if you're trying to get somebody to start to read comics, to give them something that is accessible, that doesn't need a ton of backstory, that they can pick up and get what they need out of it. Like, I know literally nothing about the Vision except for what I've seen in the Marvel movies, and I was able to get a lot out of that particular trade with almost zero knowledge, versus, I mean, there are plenty of things that you could hand me that I would be so lost it's not even funny. And so you want to make sure that whatever you're giving anybody who's new to comics, that it's user-friendly, I guess, if that makes any sense.
What do you think about the idea of being able to see yourself represented?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to knowing your audience. Whatever's important to your audience. If it's a story and a theme that they care about, they're going to be far more likely to get into the medium as a whole. So whether it's that they can see themselves in it, it's whether they can...
Because that's when I have more trouble wrapping my head around, because I am never lacking for representation. I mean, not that I really associate with anything that I read, but I'm never like, where's the 30-year-old white guys?
See, I read a book called A Man Called Ove. He was an old man living in Sweden, and I associated him with you.
I mean, I really associate... If I talk about
very cantankerous.
The Vision, the guy I associated myself with was the neighbor that didn't want to meet his neighbors. I was like, oh yeah, I get that guy.
Yeah, but I think that... I don't know. I don't know if that really answers the question, but it's so easy to love something and you want to just throw somebody into the deep end because you love it so much, or you have trouble seeing...
Well, do you think there's anything to that?
What makes it hard to see? What makes it hard to understand?
Of people saying, like, this is something I'm really passionate about and talking about and being excited about. Like, oh, I want to share this with you. Do you think there's anything to that, or do you think that's not necessarily the best route in?
We do a Buffy podcast. So I think it just depends. I think it depends on who the person is. I mean, but in the same way that if you're trying to introduce somebody to a TV show, you probably wouldn't start with episode 7 of season 5. You'd probably start with the pilot. You want to make sure that you're starting at the beginning. And I know that's really hard with comics.
Well, that's hard with
superhero comics.
So, I mean, indie book might be the way to go.
But it just depends on what they care about, right? So, like, if somebody's watched the Marvel movies and they're like, that's kind of interesting, show them some of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. But when people come to the store a lot of times, it's like, well, I like this. Like, well, what about... I'm like, I'll get more specific based on stuff, but I mean, my usual broad stroke sales pitch is like, just try a bunch of stuff out. I equate reading comics to channel surfing. You try some stuff out. If you find that you like it, you'll probably work your way back to find out the other information. Although if you're trying to get someone, that's for people who are actively searching it out, versus if you're trying to help usher someone in. I don't think that advice really works.
No, I don't know. I guess that's my best recommendation. Know your audience. That's what I do when I recommend things for people at the other bookstore. I mean, you just have to start with what do they like and what are they interested in and what's going to capture their attention. And do you want a book that's more action heavy, or do you want a book that's more, I don't know, more writing heavy?
I don't know. My general rule is also, if you're throwing something at people, you don't have to go for like the best. Like, everyone will be like, Watchmen is the best comic of all time, but do you really want to throw a deconstruction at someone who doesn't know what it's deconstructing?
Yeah, Watchmen's a tough one to start with. Watchmen's also very dark and dense, and I think that it just depends on who your audience is. If that's really interesting, then go for it by all means. But
I think they also have people come in, they're like, oh, they make a comic out of everything. Yeah, they probably do at some point in time.
Yeah.
If it's popular enough. I mean, there's adaptations of novels. We've done stuff on this show. March, which is political, autobiographical, historical kind of stuff.
I have an Alexander Hamilton graphic novel.
That's true. Did you ever read that?
Yeah. I have graphic novels in French at my classroom.
Give them Tintin.
I have Tintin. I have Tintin and I have Asterix and Obelix. Do you remember Asterix?
No.
You've never seen him? He's a little Gaulois guy.
A little what?
Gaulois.
That was something I understood.
Gaelic.
Okay.
Is that the English word?
Yes. I didn't know the other one.
Gaulois.
I don't speak French.
It's not my fault. But anyway, that's my recommendation. Know your audience.
If you want to write a thing, have it be answered, email.
By Jared.
Facebook, Twitter, Editor's Note Comics. Hey, if you like what this is about, well, you probably won't hear this version of the show again. At least not for a while, if ever.
You can come over and watch us on Buffy. Nope, listen to us on Buffy.
It's not a video show.
Thank goodness.
Well, we can't. We're surrounded by recording foam. Where would we put a camera?
We could put it on the doggy.
It'd have to be a 2-camera setup with one on each side.
No, you could put it on the doggy like a GoPro.
I mean, unless we had like a tall tripod, but that'd be a weird, angled. No.
I still liked my option.
Put a camera on the dog.
A GoPro.
No, he's asleep. But yeah, back every single week. If you want more of us, Buffy Back Issue Bin on most podcasting platforms. We do Patreon exclusive reviews, non-spoiler and spoiler stuff, and everything's on the website, editorsnocomics.com.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, next week, I don't know, maybe it's going to be a weird thing from the 60s. Maybe it's going to be a romance thing because it's Valentine's Day.
Aww.
It'll probably be the weird cartoon from the 60s because I already watched it.
Oh, what's the romance thing?
I don't know how to decide it yet.
Is it going to be a Batman the Animated Series?
No, I don't think so. Not everything comes back to that show. That show does come up a lot, though.
And you really love it.
I do. All right, next week, Jared should be back, and we'll do a thing. Go read The Vision.
Bye.
Bye.